Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 57th Chicago International Film Festival. My name is Sam Flancher. I'm a programmer here, and I'm thrilled to be joined by director of 107 Mothers, Peter Karakesh. Peter, thank you for being here today and for sharing your film with us.
Oh, thank you very much for inviting me.
We had a great screening of the film. I believe it was yesterday. The audience responded really well. So this is live. So if you're out there watching and want to type a question into the chat box, we'll be sure to get to it. But I just want to start off with the genesis of the project and the beginnings of it. I understand this was sort of a labor over many years. It took I think I read over 5 years to make. Can you talk about what the project started as initially and how it evolved to be what it was today?
In the very beginning of this film, we just wanted to make a documentary film about the censorship. And it should be several types of the non-political censorship. So no China, no Cuba, no Belarus and something. And I was really interested in the censors from their part, from their point of view. And one small part of this film was the censor in the prison, because this is something that we can all agree that, of course, the letters of the prisoners, they should be censored somehow because it's protecting us also. And we decided to make research on this topic. We went to Ukraine because in European Union, it's really very complicated to film anything in the prisons because you need so many permissions and everything.
Yeah.
So we went to Ukraine, and we ended up in the prison number 74 in Odessa, where we found Irina Kiryazeva, who is really working in a female prison. And we found her personality so interesting that we decided to structure a film, to build a film around her. And she's working in a prison where are mothers with small children. And we saw it so interesting that we decided to make a film there.
And can you talk about what it was like to approach her and her initial response to the film and to working with you to build something sort of fictional but set in a real place?
Yes. She's working with the prisoners for several years, and she's a person who is permanently on the eyes of the public. So she's something like a natural born actress, because she has to act in front of the prisoners somehow. So sometimes she has to be the bad girl, the bad woman. Sometimes she has to be the mother. So she's changing the role. So she's very used to act, basically. And when we said her what we want to make a film about, that it should be like a double portrait, like a prisoner and the guard, and the guard should be not the guard that we usually know from the prison films, the somebody who is the bad woman or the bad man.
Mhm.
And we want to show her inner world. She was really excited, and she was giving us really a lot of comments, ideas, inspirations, and everything. So it's not just my movie as a director. It's very much a movie also of Irina Kiryazeva.
Yeah. Her performance is quite beautiful. I'm thinking specifically of the scenes with her talking with her mother, or the scenes in her apartment are quite stunning. Are those taken from her experience, or are those fictionalized? Is that her real mother? I guess I'm wondering.
It's a little bit of mix. Like, for example, her mother is not her mother in this movie.
Yeah.
It's a woman from my favorite Jewish theater in Odessa. But of course, it's something very similar to her life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm curious, at what point in the process and project did you realize that fiction was going to be necessary? You mentioned it was a documentary at the outset. At what point did you decide, no, we actually need to build and shape a narrative a little bit more?
I'm originally a documentary film director, and originally I was thinking about this as about documentary film. But then we came to the point where we saw that if we want to have the emotional story of Lesa, we have to move to the fiction. Of course, it's a fiction that it's using a lot of documentary elements, But we realized that to be really close to the person and to be really close to the story, we have to tell it like a fiction. On the other side, it was a very interesting experiment because I don't know if it is a proper English expression, the carnival, when you put your Halloween masks.
Yes, yeah.
But this is something that gives you opportunity to be truly yourself. Because usually the people in documentary, they are just acting as they would be to seen by the others. And if we told them this is a fiction, it was something like a mask in a carnival on a Halloween, and they could be truly themselves. They could really tell the truth about themselves. So it was a really very interesting film experiment.
Yeah, I'm wondering for these women that participated in the film that are interviewed in the film by Irina. Can you talk about approaching them and sort of gaining their trust to buy in to be a part of this film? All these mothers who are incarcerated.
First of all, we spent really a very, very, very long time just doing the research and observation. And we made several trips to them just to have a coffee and cigarette and to speak with them. And for them, it was a really big surprise because they are used to journalists that usually come for one day, they make the story and they never come back. And we came there, didn't do anything. I was just listening them. No camera, no voice recording, nothing. And I was just curious and was coming back again and again and again. And they saw that I'm really interested. So this is something that made a possibility for them to really open and to tell, to really confess. What was interesting, because on the other side of the camera, on our side, there were several people. There were a cinematographer, 2 sound recordists, camera assistant, director, whatever, a lot of people. But in the moment when they started their monologue, they just forgot about us and they were just confessing. And it was really very, 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 very strong.
I'm curious about the development of sort of like the anatomy of a scene or any given scene in the film. I'm wondering what did the script look like? How did these scenes come to be? Obviously, you mentioned it's this collaboration, but was there a lot of improvisation on the day of, or was it kind of slowly built up to a scripted scene that then you would go and film?
The backbone, the basic storyline is pretty simple. And it's based on a real story of one of the prisoners, and the small details and what they are doing in their everyday life and the way of the dialogues and monologues, it was improvised very, very, very much. And also we were changing the script to their acting abilities. So for example, we by accident just found one genius actress among the prisoners.
Yeah.
And we said, yes, I want to have this woman much more in the film. So we had to reshoot some scenes that we done before just because of her, because I found that she's fantastic.
Is that something you think was aided by your instincts as a documentary filmmaker, sort of the ability to kind of adapt and change on the fly? Is that something you're applying sort of these old skills to this new form, would you say?
I think nearly everything, because as I am very allergic to the fiction dialogues and to fiction script writing. So anything was on the set that I saw that it's not real, that they are pretending, that it's not real, their emotion, I just decided to take out. So in the beginning of the film, we wrote down the 10 cliché of the prison films that we never want to have in this movie. Like no sex scenes, no nude woman in the shower, no violence, no bars, no handcuffs, no hysterical scenes, and so on. Everything what we know from even good prison films. And we just wrote it down and we said, okay, this is something that we don't want to film. And it gave us the opportunity to focus on the emotion of this woman.
Yeah, it's something that naturalism, I think also part of the reason it comes across so strong is because the film is visually so compelling. I would love to hear about your discussions and collaborations with your cinematographer. You mentioned you have this list of things to avoid, but how did you build sort of the visual grammar of the film? There are the way I think the faces are shot is particularly lovely. So can you talk a bit about the visual style?
Uh, for me, the importance of any good art is attention. So I needed to have a tension between the form of the image and between the subject of the image. And the substance of the image is really very rough, because you see these prisoners that kill their husbands, or they kill their lovers of their husbands because of the jealousy. We see really very rough situations, the real birth of a baby.
Mhm.
So everything is real life, very rough. But on the other side, the camera work is, I'm not saying nice, because it's not making the reality nicer, but it's somehow weird aesthetic. And I think between this beauty and roughness is creating a very strong and powerful tension. And we wanted to have it like this in our movie. Also because we were inspired by the way how these women in the prison they are living. They are painting beautiful landscapes to the walls of the prison. So you have permanent feeling like if you are in a TV studio from the 70s, with this green screen, where in the background there is a seaside or a forest or a lake, so something what describes freedom.
Yeah, it is interesting how the color like peeks through. It's not your typical sort of dour gray prison setting. It feels more like there's more life than that. I don't know if it's because of the color or maybe the faces of the women or the way the life they bring to their characters in the film. But yeah, it works really nicely. I wanted to ask about the live birth scene. As a filmmaker, do you feel, I mean, obviously provided incredible access to this person, incredible moment in a person's life. Is there, take me through what it's like on that day. Is there's this incredible amount of responsibility that you feel to get it right, to make sure you're filming things and responsible accurately? Like, I would just love to hear more about that day.
Um, there are several things. First of all, because we filmed nearly the whole film in a real prison,
Mhm.
but all the sensitive scenes we were filming out of the prison, because I wanted to be this safe that the women in front of the camera are doing it really voluntarily. When you are in a prison, you will do anything because it's just fun, or you get small amount of money or whatever.
Right.
So the breastfeeding scenes, it's inspired by the prison, but we filmed it outside of the prison with real actresses and with their babies. The pregnant woman scene where we see half-naked woman, it's outside of the prison with actresses from the casting agency. And also the real birth, it's a real birth, and it's for me
Yeah.
a very powerful beginning of the film, but
Mhm.
it's not in the prison. I wanted to be safe that this woman, it's doing it really voluntarily and it's not a prisoner. I'm a father of two daughters, and I was there when my daughters were born.
Mhm.
I know that this is a beautiful experience when you can see the life, how it is born. So I wanted to have it in the film. And we did the casting. We had several discussions with women that are looking similar like our main actress. And we were just waiting. It was really beautiful 2 days. We spent 48 hours in a hospital, and we were just waiting for the delivery of the baby.
Mhm.
Then just suddenly arrived the doctor and said, yes, you can film. And actually, it was one of the last filming days.
Oh, really?
And because I wanted to be safe, that we don't have to rush, everything was done and we were just waiting. And it was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes across very beautifully. And I imagine an extremely difficult thing to film with such responsibility. It's interesting you say these more intimate moments where like breastfeeding and the birth and things like that sort of by necessity needed to be captured outside of the prison, which maybe speaks to the kind of necessity of fiction to get at the reality of the situation here. So the actress who is kind of thrown into the prison, the lead actress, Marina, that's her name, correct?
Yes.
I would love to hear about her experience or what you see to be her experience and her, like your collaboration with her and what she brought to the film.
To be honest, I wanted to have an ex-prisoner in her role, but and we even started to film with an ex-prisoner who has all the experience. But I found during the shooting that this ex-prisoner is too rough. Like suddenly you have too much energy and everything. And I wanted to have the main protagonist, the main actress, more to have like a mirror, like a woman that we can that is mirroring the other woman in the prison. So we did the additional casting, and we found Marina, who has no prison experience, and I hope she will never have prison.
Right? Yeah, something you hope. Yeah.
And she's a young actress from a Ukrainian theater, and we just put her there, and she was so shocked. So what she see around, that we really had this experience when you are the first time prisoner. So she was really like surprised by every small moment, every small movement, and we filmed the beginning in the beginning, and then when she was really used to the prison life, then we could film the 3 years after scenes when she was used. So it was kind of her natural acting, and she's really a very good actress, but also a part of really very physical acting where we were calculating with these moments of surprise.
Yeah, it comes across very beautifully. I want to ask about the scenes of Irina interviewing the prisoners. I'm curious, is that something that's part of her daily like job and task, or is that something that was constructed for the film?
Nearly everything is really a part of her job. So these interviews are also the part of her job, because she has to solve the problems. But the best way how to solve the problems is to solve them in advance. So she has to know if there are some problems between the prisoners, if there's some of them have depressions or suicidal tendencies or something like that. So really a big part of her job are these interviews.
Yeah.
Second thing, she was really surprised that the prisoners were much more open during the interviews when the camera was there, as in the interviews when she's doing it herself.
Yeah.
And I think this is the atmosphere that we were able to create, because it's a paradox. When the prisoners, they saw that 7 persons, actually we all were men, 7 men are just concentrating what they are saying. We were reading their lips. Even most of the crew were not understanding Russian except me. But they saw that they are really important. And so they put really their soul to this monologue.
Yeah, the way the camera changes an environment. Yeah, it's amazing. I want to finish up just by asking about the response and reception by the participants in the film. Have the women in the prison seen the film, and what is your sense of what they think about it, if they have?
Yes, unfortunately, during our editing process, the prison was shut down. So the prisoners from prison number 74, they are scattered around other prison in Ukraine. So we are slowly losing the contacts. Of course, it's strictly prohibited to have mobile phones, but I'm still in contact on Facebook with some of them. And when all this corona madness will finish, we are planning to make a tour in female prisons in Ukraine. So all of the prisoners will have a chance to watch this film, and I will be very curious to their response.
Yeah. Has the film screened in Ukraine in any other capacity?
Not yet. The film was just freshly released in Venice, San Sebastian, and Chicago. So, but I hope soon, it means February, March next year, we will be able to show it in Ukraine as well.
Yeah, and not to belabor the same question, but Irina, has she seen the film?
Yes, of course. Irina saw the film, and some of the prisoners saw the film. The main characters in the prison, they saw the film as well, and they were very moved.
Mhm.
And Irina is waiting for a sequel.
Yeah, of course. Well, I think that's about all the time we have, but I just want to thank you for joining us here today. It's been a pleasure, and for sharing the film with us at this year's Chicago International Film Festival.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yeah. Thanks, Peter. You have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.